Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're having a great day. So today we want to talk about the Bitcoin maximalist. Is the Bitcoin maximalist correct? Is he right? And what I mean by that is it's been coming out that Bitcoin maximalists, or at least a great portion of them, believe that most of the cryptocurrency space, either the coins and projects are going to end up in the category of redundant, or they're scams, or something to that effect. And in the idea of the Bitcoin maximalists, saying that, really at the end of the day, really everything can be pretty much used with Bitcoin. Is that correct? And what is the final verdict on that? So, want to go over a few things. First, what is my position? Am I a Bitcoin maximalist? I'm some weird combination of a Bitcoin maximalist and see, whereas I agree with the Bitcoin maximalist is that many things Bitcoin can account for, be used in place of, that you don't need another cryptocurrency or another project to a certain degree. Uh, Most of my interests in other cryptocurrency projects have been more as an assistant arm for Bitcoin, right? To work alongside with Bitcoin to optimize Bitcoin, make Bitcoin more efficient in a way. And looking at it, a project like Polkadot in the Polkadot community, I think it's important that in the idea of Polkadot, there was going to have to be a situation where the network could scale, right? And it could do some in the most efficient way. The parachain technology that Polkadot uses makes a lot of sense to me. That you would want to have these these interoperable blockchains to have the easy way to scale cryptocurrency. That Bitcoin running servers to no end with proof of work was just not going to be a sustainable model into the future. It was just not going to work out if Bitcoin could grow to the scales that I think many in the space would like to see it at. So what does this all mean, right? What are we saying here? Are the Bitcoin maximalists right? Are all these cryptocurrency projects just basically going in circles, right? Not really going to do anything. And we're going to talk a little bit about NFTs today. We're going to talk a little bit about DeFi. We're going to try to get a little deeper into the Bitcoin maximalist philosophy and a little understanding. So let's first start at the beginning before we approach it. Let's look at how the idea of the Bitcoin maximalist came about. So first, in the beginning, of course, it was Bitcoin, right? And Bitcoin, when people talk about blockchain technology, the Bitcoin maximalists would say that they're really talking about Bitcoin, right? You can't talk about the blockchain, and the only standing example you would have for a blockchain working at any conceivable level as we could imagine would be Bitcoin, right? So the Bitcoin maximalists would say you cannot divide the blockchain from Bitcoin, right? And so they're correct in that the best model in cryptocurrency we've seen work is Bitcoin, right? They're correct, and it's the safest network so far that's been tested and proven, to the fullest degree so far. And it's the first of its kind, right? Now, of course, when the cryptocurrency economy first started, it was very small. And when you got something like Bitcoin, it could facilitate Bitcoin in this small pool, right? But as you start to begin to get more altcoins, other projects, some would argue that the idea of the introduction of more money was questionable to a degree, and what you might see is altcoins starting to gain some dominance over Bitcoin. That's to say, from that small pool, you could possibly be diluting Bitcoin. And there may be some truths in that and some falsehoods. Some people take it to the extreme and they say, well, you're creating more Bitcoins and thus diluting Bitcoins, although you're only saying it's only 21 million. Now, the thing is, early on, many projects did pretty much run on Bitcoin code, right? When you had your Litecoins and your Doge coins, and not only did they run on Bitcoin code, they were to, some might think of as redundancy coins, as to say, they were doing the same thing as Bitcoin, that they weren't really, doing anything different or anything new. Of course, one could argue that in any market you would need competitors, and you can argue that some of the other platforms, chains might have worked better for smaller transactions, whereas Bitcoin didn't. And so there was this type of justified existence of many of these cryptocurrencies, despite the possible dilution that was caused to Bitcoin from them now pulling from Bitcoin pool of funds. I think when we fast forward that to the future, we get a similar throwback gene, with the Bitcoin maximalists, and the more of these altcoins pop up, the more of these platforms pop up, and the more of these scams pop up, it only hurts the value of Bitcoin ultimately, right? It hurts their personal investment. So they're going to be naturally against any competitors. But if we were to take a purely scientific approach, a non-biased approach, what is really happening, right? So let's think of it as what's happened with the space over the last several years, right? If the Bitcoin maximalists are correct, what we've actually seen in a weird way, if we kind of go back, we had several kind of cryptocurrency hype cycles going, right? First, we had the Lightning Network, right? Not to be confused with Bitcoin Lightning, so to speak, because Lightning could work on any chain, but just this idea that you're going to have in some type of custodial capacity, and this is going to kind of relate to what's happening with Wrapped, Bitcoin, Wrapped, Ethereum, as we go on with this. But you had that hype cycle that was supposed to be the breakdown in the new way forward to the future, and it kind of went away, right? And then what you had was the security coins, security tokens that came out, and that was supposed to be the next way forward. That didn't work out, or it kind of just went away. And then you had, of course, first was the ICO craze with all the different projects popping up and Ethereum being created and all the funding happening off Ethereum. Now the latest thing was DeFi, right, for this year, decentralized finance, and we saw what happened with that, scam after scam and project hopping after project hopping. And some people are now predicting the next several months DeFi will be another thing that kind of gets, I won't say taken off the list, because there are some decentralized finance projects that I think are going to still be pretty strong and around, but obviously the hype cycle will be gone and everything will level off, like all the other ideas I just mentioned that went through this space. And then last but not least, the NFTs. So where is this in relation to the Bitcoin maximalists being correct? Is NFTs in that succession just another thing that's going to be pushed under the bus? So let's get a little bit into the minds of some of the things that they're saying about it, because the obvious thing is that the Bitcoin maximalist, if he's not going to accept altcoins, and if they're going to not accept wrapped Bitcoin and liquid Bitcoin and so on and so forth, then my assumption is they're going to have a lot of problems with the idea of NFTs. But let's get into this article a little bit from Cointelegraph. It was written by, get the author here, Andrew Shevchenko. And let's just read a little bit what he was saying about this. It says that Consensus distributed on May 12, Blockstream presented Light Night, a Fortnite-like game that used the Liquid network for storing non-fungible tokens representing game items, right? Non-fungible tokens mean, if you're not familiar with NFTs, non-fungible tokens, these are like one-of-a-kind cryptocurrencies. Like you think of something like a baseball card, a rare baseball card. Think in terms you could do this virtually with a cryptocurrency, and this level of authenticity that can be basically gathered from this thing is of value to someone, whether it be an artist or a creator, so on and so forth, right? If it's a work of art, you can have a one-of-a-kind work of art. And it says here, while the games is developed by independent company Satoshi's Games, Blockstream has sponsored the game by running a token giveaway. The announcement has garnered a considerable amount of criticism from Ethereum fans, given the long-standing rivalry with the Bitcoin maximalists. Non-fungible tokens are traditionally associated with Ethereum and other smart contract blockchains and receive constant criticism from Bitcoin community members as part of that association, right? So, not all Bitcoin community members welcome the liquid NFTs, with notable Ethereum critic Udi Wertheimer commenting that nobody wants NFTs. So that's some commentary from the from the Bitcoin community. And the reasoning behind this, the only thing I can think of is, of course, there have been these notable Bitcoin maximalists. Some that come to mind are like Trace Mir, Tone V's. People are just diehard on Bitcoin, and they don't believe anything else really needs to exist in the space. And whereas I do share some similarities to them, not in the sense that I don't think there should be other cryptocurrencies, but in the sense that I feel that it doesn't necessarily need to be redundant cryptocurrency projects. In other words, if you had a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, and there was a creation of more Bitcoin-like products with Bitcoin code, unless it's going to be doing something Bitcoin can't do, specifically like being able to transfer the value of Bitcoin some type of way, or so on and so forth, it's probably not going to really serve a lot of space to just keep creating, the same type projects, right? In that way, I think that might be signaling or helping to understand why Bitcoin maximalists feel this way, because like what Trace Mir would say was the way that they look at altcoins is that, yeah, they're fun. They're fun. It's fun to gamble. It's like a night at Las Vegas. But what they're really saying is that these aren't really investments. These shouldn't be taken as serious investments on the level of maybe a Bitcoin or possibly an Ethereum. But again, with the Bitcoin maximalist, he's probably the hardcore Bitcoin maximalist. He's probably going to have take large issue with Ethereum as well, right? Even though Ethereum has is pretty much up there at the level of Bitcoin, and as far as decentralization, in many respects, may have achieved that, or close as possible to a level of Bitcoin. The Bitcoin maximalists would still have some issues with that. So in digesting NFTs a little bit more, this gamer's pitch, right? This like Fortnite type project, and all of the hopes and aspirations of the cryptocurrency now pushing NFTs, along with DeFi and the many other things that they push that they're no longer pushing at this point in time, that hasn't moved the overall cryptocurrency markets forward anywhere like I believe they say it has, right? In that way, then what are NFTs, and what can we expect from them, or an idea? So it's hard to really, I think, for anybody to really 100% narrow down what NFTs are, or rather what the success rate of them going to be. We do have just history to see what many of the hype projects have done. Remember, it's a lot of scammers in the space. There's a lot of people want to turn a quick buck. It's a lot of coin and project creators that want to make quick, fast money, and right, they want you to put your money in. You're gonna lose your money, right? Our NFT is gonna be it. So, and our NFT is unique. So, first of all, I think, even in the cryptocurrency space, we could call to attention something like crypto kitties. You go back before that, the concept of NFT like virtual items, right? These non-tangible items is not new at all. This was not the first attempt of it. Many virtual worlds have done this, and have done them on a level that I think is far beyond what many of the cryptocurrency projects are doing now, where you can enter into these virtual worlds and you can go to an art show and you can have a VR headset and you can look at this art, and the art would be no copy, no transfer, right? And it wasn't just art. It could be motorcycles, cars, private jets, planes, yachts, whatever, right? And they would meticulously build these very valuable virtual pixels on the screen, right? And this is the idea. We're talking probably about going back to the early 2000s. You're talking about maybe 20 years ago that this concept has been explored. There are many technical reasons why it didn't take off. Of course, if you're doing something like that on a level, I think people, like the gaming community would appreciate it. Because you're looking at something like Fortnite and people are making money to do that, or you're making or a lot of these billion-dollar video game companies would probably want to just start their own blockchains and do a similar thing and keep their base there. And they may not even do it. They wouldn't necessarily need to do it with cryptocurrency, right? They could kind of do a similar thing to what they've done with many of these virtual worlds. So I don't know if that necessarily would work, and as far as authenticating, the artists. Well, let's look at this other article that talks about some incidents that happened with NFTs thus far. Okay, so this article is taken from Liam Kelly of Crypto Briefing. Solving for identity is proving difficult for the crypto art scene. On February 8th, artist Karan Singh notified the blockchain-based art platform Rarible that some of his work had been fraudulently listed. Although the issue was quickly resolved, the NFT space has since been debating how to prevent future incidents, right? So this crypto art heist, as it were. And so the article goes on to speak about, ways to deal with the security issue in this. But what's driving this one of a kind, new technology, is there are some problems with it. It might possibly seem, and that's going to be the most important aspect of the dependability of this type thing. And once you get past that part, also, if it's really something necessary that the space is going to need and that people are going to really be using. Now, I was watching an interview earlier. I think it's called the Bitcoin Sessions. Some of you are probably familiar with it. And they talked a lot about how many of these NFT projects that existed past and prior that had the same promising hype around it, that not many people used it, right? That it didn't catch fire. So is this another prophecy from the Bitcoin maximalists, and that they're saying, hey, this NFT thing, this DeFi thing, we're staying away from all of that stuff, right? And we're just going to ride the censorship, resistance, solid, sound money, blockchain idea of Bitcoin, and leave it at that, right? The overall question: do we need everything on the blockchain? That is another important question, right? Is it necessary to have um, many things on the blockchain, right? Or is it just so much we have what we need? Now, I do agree with Bitcoin maximalists in many ways on those ideas. And getting back to the Polkadot network and the Polkadot community, I'm a big believer in the Polkadot community because to me, I feel it's the lead right now on how the cryptocurrency space can scale. Because even if you're a Bitcoin maximalist, you still have to maneuver around. What are we going to do about all these servers spending all this energy, right? It's going to have to be some type of side chain or way to work with Bitcoin to some capacity. And much of the liquid Bitcoin, the wrapped Ethereum, the wrapped Bitcoin, and so on and so forth. Many of these issues with that is that they aren't on the Bitcoin blockchain, right? And that creates many issues for the Bitcoin maximalists. So, Bitcoin MYK, which is on the Polkadot network, another cryptocurrency that's not on the Bitcoin blockchain per se. Let's talk about why Bitcoin MYK is different within the Polkadot community, yet serves the Bitcoin community, if we are to believe the narrative that the Bitcoin maximalist has put out there, that Bitcoin is really the only cryptocurrency that we need, right? That everything else is a waste of time. There's either a scam or it's a waste of money or it's a boom and bust cycle waiting to happen like the last of many several others that have happened. So let's talk about that a little bit. Okay, so we're here on the Bitcoin MYK site, and I thought it was important to try to end this video with trying to help the cryptocurrency community to not only see some of the issues and how Bitcoin maximalists feel and why I believe they're right about many things that many problems and issues that they bring up, right? Problems that need to be solved. Um, I believe that interoperability is still going to be necessary, and there's going to need to be some type of Bitcoin side chain to facilitate the growth, some parachain, as it were, like Polkadot has, and we believe Bitcoin MYK is what's making that. It's going to be one of those projects that make that possible to use these side chains in order to facilitate the scaling of Bitcoin and help it to work more like what we believe its true idea was, to be more like a currency that has more use and not so much as a store value. The U.S. dollar and the euro are the most traded assets in the world. It's not gold. It's not platinum. It's not something like that. It is the U.S. dollar and it's the euro, right? So these are things that are getting the most use. So being able to help Bitcoin facilitate this way in a way like that, we think is part of the answer solution. At the same time, be able to scale. Now, in looking at what we believe to be the problem with what's happening with many of these ideas like liquid Bitcoin and wrapped Bitcoin, is that a lot of times these things happen off chain, as it will be happening with us. But here's the difference. It usually requires some type of movement of the Bitcoin itself, right? Whether it be in some custodial capacity, under a governance model like is proposed with liquid Bitcoin, and this group can make whatever decisions they want, which makes the decentralization of it quite questionable. But what if instead of you actually having to turn over your Bitcoin to these entities and have them off, off things happening off the chain? What if you could just keep your Bitcoin in your wallet and use what we believe to be what we call the Bitcoin Wave Network, where we basically can use versions of social media, decentralized social media, which protects your identity, and link your accounts together so we know which wallets belong to what accounts, whilst at the same time protecting your identity. through decentralized social media, and basically use that as a claim function in which you'll be able to move your Bitcoin value without actually moving it out of your wallet. And that's very important. And we're not going to go into detail on this video, but you can look at our white paper. We'll try to leave a link in the description. And you can see where we believe this idea like this would work better, where your Bitcoin doesn't actually move, right? It stays in your custody, but you verify that you own it, and you're able to move it. It works different than just a type of airdrop or fork system, and that through these networks, you're able to verify that you hold so many Bitcoin, and you're able to just claim the Bitcoin MYK cryptocurrency. So it's very interesting, and it does require people involved with this project who are creating useful cryptocurrency beyond just the profit margin of just making money. I think that's what's, if you look at the early days of Bitcoin, the engineers and the developers who put so much of their heart and soul into developing Bitcoin, these people weren't necessarily looking to get compensated or paid from this, so to speak. I don't believe they all were. So the point I'm making is there's a big line between developing great technology and supporting its value in the future, and just trying to turn a profit, right? There are examples of CEOs who have given up large salaries and given all their employees the same amount of money that they make, and it's proven over the years later to be a profitable model that works. So part of the cryptocurrency problem space, or part of the problem with cryptocurrency, is unlike Bitcoin, which were a lot of people who put their heart and soul in to believed in Bitcoin and probably did it not just to make profits. Cryptocurrency has become this very capitalistic business driven model now, where everybody's just trying to make as much money and value as they can, and they're putting that forth over the actual use and values bringing people, and that doesn't always work out best for the advancement of technology in every situation, right? We have many examples where it hasn't worked. But Bitcoin NYK, very interesting. Imagine a network so vast using a combination of universal basic income and absorbing the Bitcoin network to where without moving their Bitcoin, they can transact throughout the Polkadot network the Bitcoin value, right? Without taking value away from Bitcoin itself, as the actual Bitcoin would stay in their wallets, right? They would just have this cryptocurrency, but it would be proven that they're the owners and that value means something as they grow the Bitcoin MYK network and move from place to place. So it's a very interesting idea. I invite you all to read the white paper. Check it out. We'll leave a link in the description. Give me your thoughts on it, what you think about it. We think it makes perfect sense. But that's all I want to say in this video. If you like content like this, don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, until next time, take care.